Hello and welcome back to the Power BI Training 2023, and this is part 2 of the training where we will cover the loading of the data with Power Query, as well as do some analysis and do some transformation in that. So let's get started. From the We will open up the previous file, Power BI file, and where we left off in part 1. So as soon as it will open up, we'll start applying some transformations in the query. So as you can see, we have opened up this Power BI file. There's nothing loaded here, which means that the data is still in Power Query mode, and there's a notification there that says there are pending changes in the query that you haven't been applied. So this means that we need to open up the Power Query by clicking on the transform data, and it will open up Power Query editor where all the tables that we've loaded in the last sections we have are there. To start off with the employee query, what we will do is we'll click on the employee, which is selected now, so in this one. And then to rename, what we will do is there is a query setting that gives us property and the name. So what we will do is we will just rename it to salesperson. So this means, we are changing these names. These are technical names, like it's coming from the database, of course, with dimension and fact. But if we want to create a report for self-service, and if you want to create a report for people who are who needs to create a report from the existing data set, then we need to have user-friendly names, and that's the reason why we are changing all the uh, probably all the names related to, so that they can have a verification of how people are. Uh, they will have a kind of a thing that understands what the table name is, and then what the data under that table will be. Now the sales table contains 33 columns, and it is moving from one left to right, and you'll be there are some columns which you want to see, and you are unable to find those columns. There's a shortcut method of going to this going to this go to choose column dialog box, click on that one, and then go to column. And in that one, for example, if you want to see you know there's a complete list of it, and we can sort this column as well in the natural order, or by name, or you can search by sales. For example, salesperson flag. The salesperson flag, it will take you to that particular column. And then what we will do is we will select this drop down. It is giving us a complete list of values in that particular column. Since the number of records are less, that's why there are clear values that are given. Otherwise, if there are multiple values, then it will give a notification that we need to search by there might be a chance that there will be more values existing. So since we are looking for salespersons, we just click on true as a flag, and this will give us all the sales related people in that. If you see in the right section, right side, there's a section called applied steps, and whatever you do, it is updating the adding a new step to that application. So for example, if you want to see all married salesperson, it is applied here as a salespersons, and it is added in the in the filter row section. So if you want to clear that filter, this will only have salesperson with that. If we want to, for example, remove columns, let's say we remove the material status column, there is an additional step, or there is an additional line item that is added here, and you can always revert or go back to the previous step by just clicking on this one, or you can just delete the previous steps that you've done. uh, Please note that this is an irreversible process. Once you delete anything, you have to go back and do perform the operations once again. There's no undo for this deleting the applied steps. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll just filter out, or we'll just choose some specific columns, and we will not keep all the columns that are there. So because there are some columns that are associated with other tables and views and lists as well, and we might not use it in our analysis. So what we can do is we can just go back to this arrow and click on choose column, and this will give us um, the list of columns with selected. So by default it is everything is selected by default. But what we'll do is we'll just click on some limited we'll just select some important columns, like for example employee key, employee national ID or alternate key, of course first name last name, as well as the title and the email address. And I think other than that, these are some different columns which we'll not be using, because yeah. Okay. And remember, if you notice that this is an additional step that has been added, like remove other columns. So remove other columns means that we are keeping these columns and removing all other all other columns. So we will have a step that is there. We can always modify that step. So for example, if we click on this one in the gear icon, it will open up the existing filter that we applied, and we can make changes to that. Similar ones we can do in the filter rows as well. So it's showing that filter rows equal true. We can select any other value which is present to update. Okay, so now what we've done is we have filtered out these columns, or we've selected such columns. Now what we can do is we have to merge these first name and last name and create a name column, which means that there is only one name for each employee. Okay, so in order to merge those columns, there are multiple things that we can do. First, we have to select those columns. So multiple column selection can be done by holding Control key and then selecting the column names. The easiest way is to right click on any of the column, and there is an option for merge column, and this will open up as a dialog box which says choose how to merge the selected columns, and then we can give a space in between and give a name. um, so this is salesperson. If you can just click on OK, these two will be merged as salesperson. So see what has happened behind the scene is that the first name and the last name is removed, and then it is combined to a salesperson, and then it is removed. So this removed and renamed this one column to salesperson. Okay, so moving on, what we will do is we will so this employee key is there, email address is there, salesperson title is there. Okay, so what we can do is we can rename this employee national ID alternate key, um, and give it a simple name. So let's say employee ID. So we'll just double click this column and it will be in an edit mode. So once you give a, so let's give this employee ID and then press enter, so it will have a shorter and sweet name. Once this is all done, remember that you can see this has 5 columns and 18 row records, and that is all we want. So this table is done. Now we will move to the next table, which is the dim employee sales territory. And this sales territory table, we will just do some manipulations in that one as well. So this is employee key. As you remember, this employee key should match up with these, and sales territory, and all the details can be done and can be seen here as well. So let's get started. First, what we'll do is we'll just rename this dim employee sales territory to salesperson region. Okay, so after the rename, what we will do is we will just remove the last 2 columns which we don't require. Uh, so what we can do is we can just right click and remove, and then again right click and remove. Remember, if you perform similar operations, it is just recorded under one applied step. And if you see the code here, it is merging those operations into one. So for example, if I remove this dim sales category, so we will have that column back. But if we'll remove this, I mean, if we apply this step again, then this shows as a merged removed columns, like the same applied step. All right, so now we have employee key and sales territory key. Okay, now this is done. We'll move to the product query. This contains product information. First thing is that we will rename this dim product to product, and then uh, what what we can see is this product information contains 40 columns and 606 rows. So we can see that there are 606 product types and 40 columns. Of course, there will be some additional columns which we will not require. So what we'll do is we'll filter those columns, and one thing to observe here is that these products are some of the products are intermediate, some of the products are in different stages. So what we will locate is we will go to the finished good flag, and there is a finished good flag where we can see. So this flag gives us filtered products which are only finished. So sales occurs only on the finished product. So this is a good flag to switch off all the intermediate products. So just click, we will just filter it out with by selecting true, and this will give us all the products which are finished. So if you can see, now the records are 397, and yeah, with all the product information. So now what we'll do is we'll filter out any extra information, because we're doing sales analysis. So we will filter out any extra information which might not be used in the sales analysis. After filtering out the finished good flag, what we will do is we'll just remove all other columns, and we'll just keep some important columns which means which are product key, the product name and standard cost, the color, and another thing which is called product subcategory. And if you can see, we have filtered out everything. We've removed every other thing, and we have just kept these basic columns. So these are the columns. If you can see, with the data types, and this is number data type, this is text, this is currency, this is another text. But observe this column. This column has does this column has some multiple values, or this is a kind of a list that we are looking forward. So we need to expand that list. So if you can see, if you click on one of the value or record, it says it is a complete list, or it's a kind of a more detailed about that particular product. So which means that there's a table within that within the table. So what we can do is we can click on expand button, and this will open up the columns present in that table. In that columns, in this information, we can have all the columns present in the table. Plus, there is a checkbox which says use original column name as prefix, which means that once we click on OK, it will have the name like in a format like dim product subcategory dot product subcategory key. So we will be able to identify which one is. So, for example, we have some same names associated with similar to the original table. Then we can always distinguish in between the original column names versus the subcategory or expanded column names. What we'll do is we'll just select the subcategory name, English product subcategory name, as well as the dim product category, and we will uncheck this use original column name as well, and then click on OK. If you can see, it has been expanded as two columns, and the dim product category has a table values itself. If you can see this transformation applied step, it says expand dim product subcategory, so it is still opening up the subcategory table, and if you want to add or remove any other column, we can do that as well. And once we click on editing that, if you see that default column name prefix optional, now this thing gives a text box, which means that we can put up our own information or our own um, prefix associated with the column names. After doing that, what we'll do is we'll just expand this dim product category as well, and just remember that the query column names should remain unique. Okay, so after expanding the product subcategory, uh, there is another table which is there, which is called product category, and then if we expand that, what we can see is some more columns associated with the that particular table. So in this case, what we'll do is we'll just click on English product category name and click OK. So now it will give us the English product category name as well as product subcategory name. We will just rename some columns. So English product name to product, added cost, we'll just give a space, and subcategory, English product subcategory name to subcategory, and English product category name to category. So now we have 6 columns and 397 records with subcategory, product details, and category information. This will help us analyze better in sales perspective. The following, like you'll just choose the column, click on selection, the reseller, business type, reseller name, and the dim geography. So these are the four columns that we have. We will expand this dim geography column with only the following 3 columns, which are city, province name as well as the English country region name, and this will give us all the information related to the resellers. If you remember in the first video that we have a different values for warehouse, we will now fix those values. Just click on, when you click on business type, it says there are two values associated with warehouse and where space house, you would say. So what we will do is we'll just right click on this one and then replace values. So what we will do is we will warehouse and then replace it with the correct one and click on OK. So what will happen here is that we'll remove the the extra value associated with that. So now what we'll do is now we'll have a limited and fixed cleaned business type there. So yeah, bit of final test checking. What we'll do is we'll just give space to business type, reseller name to just reseller, state province name to state / province, and English country name to country / region, and that's it. This is done for reseller. Remember to see that it has 6 columns and 701 rows. Okay, so now we'll move to the sales territory, and this is basically a region. So what we'll do is we'll rename this to region. Yeah, so if you see that there are 11 records, and the region and sales country is there. There is one alternate key which is 0. It's called corporate headquarter, and we'll just remove this called corporate headquarter by just selecting this alternate key and this unselect 0. So this will happen. This will just gives us the region, selling region there. Again, out of the 10 columns, we'll remove the columns that we don't require, like what we require is sales key, region, country, and group. There you go. We'll just do some renaming as well in this one. So sales territory region to region, sales territory country to country, and the group as well. After completing regions, we'll move to the fact reseller sales, and we'll quickly rename this table to sales. So we'll just delete this as a fact. And since it has 21 columns, we will just select the columns first, and then we can see what needs to be done. So we'll keep sales order number, order date, product key, a reseller key, employee key, sales territory key, order quantity, unit price, total product cost, sales amount, and dim product. As per our previous examples, what we can see is that there's some total product cost missing in the values, like this is showing as null values, and if you can just hover it, it says 76 records are empty. So you need to fix those, because in order to calculate profit and loss, we need to have product cost and the sales cost as well, sales as well. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just expand this dim product, and we'll just go for the standard cost. This is standard cost, and we will apply this thing. So this dim product will have the standard cost column, and we'll retrieve the cost from we have retrieved this column from the dim product table, and now we will apply, or we will create a new column that will say that, you know, whenever these values are not present. So for example, whenever this total product cost is null, we'll fetch these values from standard cost column. In order to do that, what we'll do is we'll go to the add column tab and click on custom column. In that custom column, it opens up a dialog box that that will have the column name, formulas, and, you know, the available columns in the query. What we'll do is we'll just rename this as you know rename this column. What we'll do is we'll just rename this column to cost, and then we will apply some custom formula, which means that, you know, we will select an if statement, and if and that will go like, you know, if the total product cost is null, then order quantity into standard cost you should multiply, otherwise we'll just stick to the total product cost. So now we will do is we'll just write if, and the total product cost equals null, then order quantity into standard cost, else total product cost. Okay, so now this column has been added, and it has full valid records. So now it's just showing 1000 records. We can just click on profiling based on entire data set, and it will load, and it will show up all the records. So the total records are 57,851 and no empty records. And now what we'll do is we'll just remove these two columns, hold control and click on those two columns, and then just right click to remove the columns. So now we'll have now we have a complete cost associated with that. We'll just rename some of the columns, like unit price, unit space price, order quantity to quantity, sales amount to sales. If you see, the quantity column has a data type called decimal. So this means that the quantity can be a whole number. It will be a whole number, not existing in the decimal column. So we'll just convert this decimal number to the whole number, and this will fix the column. So after changing the quantity data type, we'll just change this cost data type to same as decimal number, and this will give us a complete configuration and updation of the sales table. It contains 10 columns and 999, which means that 1000 plus records. Configure, now move to the target query, and then last thing is the color format. We'll just fix those queries and then we'll save this file. So first you just need to rename. This means that it is showing as targets. Now what we'll do is we'll just do some unpivoting. So in order to remove the hyphen values, what we'll do is we'll just select all the months and then unpivot them so that it will show up as a attribute or value uh, format, and easily we can remove the hyphen values from them. So what we'll do is we'll just select month 1 to month 12 and then click on unpivot columns. This will give us the format of attribute versus values, and you just go over the filter and then just remove the hyphen values from the value column. Now we'll do some renaming, like attribute to month number and value to target. Now what we'll do is we'll replace this month number with the existing date function or a date column. So first step would be to just right click on the month number and select replace values. So what we'll do is we'll just find M and replace it with empty. So just click on OK. It will removing it is removing all the it has removed all the month. Okay, so this is the month number that we've got. Now what we'll do is we'll just extract a date from that month number. So one of the best feature which I observe in Power BI is getting data based on identification of the pattern. So we can get and add a new column based on some examples as well. So if you go and click on add column, there's an option called column from examples. In column from example, you just need to type values, and then it will learn and identify anything uh, which is under the pattern. So this column 1 is currently empty. If you notice that year column is 2017 and month number is 7, we'll type some values in the date format and we'll see how it goes. So I'm typing 1st of July 2017, and if you click on this one, if you just press enter, notice the magic that it fulfills and identify the pattern. So it's getting number, the first date as first, then month number, then year in the format which is given there, which means that we have the column month. We can just now format it according to the date. So notice this is created as a merged column. We'll just rename it to target month, and we will remove these two columns. So for example, we remove the year column as well as the month name column. So now we'll have target month, the target, and the employee ID. So instead of adding a column, we'll just go to the transform ribbon and then click on standard and multiply it by 1000, and this will give us the updated revised values. And you can see that there are 3 columns in that values. We'll just save this. Now the last one, what we'll do is the color format query. And in this color format, if you see that there are columns the header appear in the first record. So what we can do is we can go to the home tab, and then under the transform section there says use first row as headers. There are another option as well. So use headers as first rows, use first rows as headers. Click on this one. We'll move the first rows to the header format. And then rename this this color format. I don't think that there's nothing more required, because it's just giving a background color and font color associated with that. What we can do from here is to update the product query based on these colors. So if we select on product query, we will need to merge the color format query in the product colors. So because this is colors, and we need to merge, and at the end result should appear that there is a color column and there are some background and foreground colors as well. Font colors as well to be appeared. So we go to the merge queries, and a dialog box opens up with the first table. We can select the second table as color format. Now what we'll do is we'll just select one column from the first table and the matching column from the second table. So what we'll do is we'll just match up the colors along with the and fetch the background color and font color format. The join kind will remain as it is, the left outer join, which means that they'll fetch up all the values in the second tables, matching up with the first table. Just click on OK. And one thing we need to update is the privacy levels, because we are merging two queries. We'll keep this to organization and save. So after merging the query, a table object appears in the color format. So we'll just expand this, and all we need is the background color format as well as the font color format, and this will update this product table with the merged query. Now what we'll do is since we have all the information associated with this table in the product table, we'll just ignore this query to load. So we'll just right click on in a color format and then click on enable load. This will, once the data will be refreshed, it will not load. So only these tables, 7 tables will be loaded, not this one. So now we have done with all the transformation steps and all the stuff for each table, and we have 8 queries here, out of which only 7 will be loaded, and this will not be loaded. So what we'll do is now we'll move these data query, Power Query editor to the data model. So all the tables will be loaded to the Power BI data model. So we click on this close and apply button, and as soon as we do, the load process starts, and all the records have been loaded. So if you can see, there are 7 columns which are loaded, and this will have multiple information associated, and data is also there. So as you can see, 7 columns have been loaded in the data model. Now we will apply the modeling of the data in our next video. which will cover the data model, creating relationships, as well as applying some tax operations as well. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.